The question becomes, have we achieved the dream? And the reality is absolutely not.
But at times they take advantage of their authority and they're abusive with it to where they can enforce physical violence for which they feel is justified for. In them enforcing this physical violence, they often can not only injure someone, but they can cause death in multiple individuals that they come in contact with. They can also cause PTSD in individuals, and they can just widen the gap between citizens and those who are in authority. Now, with police brutality, what does that mean to me? That means that I have to protect my family. That means that I have to protect my sons, and really not only them, but protect my children, my daughters too. With that, there is a lot of stress that can come along with it. With that, there's a lot of fear that can come along with it, and also the tendency to want to shelter my family and my children. So police have the authority to enforce the law.
But when ability and will become one, we see results.
In the next segment, I asked Mr. Anthony Hawkins if he felt that protests and peaceful movements were effective in stopping police brutality, and this was his response.
Get laws passed. That's the only thing we're going to do. That's another way for people to get money. Black lives and all that ain't doing nothing if laws ain't being changed.
Now, let's take a look at Mr. Robert Wilson's response on how police brutality affects his relationship with the public.
In a city like Philadelphia or Chicago or others, well, crime nationwide may be plateaued or down in some areas. Violent crime, gun crime, up in cities like Philadelphia. What do you think is driving it, Philadelphia and other major cities?
Well, several things. First of all, I just think that the absence of fathers is one. But also, I think this preoccupation we have with looking at everything through the prism of race has done an enormous contributor to the problems. The demonization of police, villainization of the police over the last 10 years has had a horrendous problem.
I would say, once you have lack of trust for the police officers, people won't report anything, in which you need them to report crimes and things that they see in order to keep the community safe.
The big question is, does race play a role in police brutality?
Horrendous problem. In Cincinnati, for instance, 14 years ago, when a young black man was shot by a cop, and the civil rights leaders came in and boycotted the city, the white police said, well, we're not going to rigorously enforce laws in these communities. The result was the murder rate in low-income black neighborhoods went up 800% in the city.
That race does play a role in police brutality because there are a lot of social biases that we come in contact with, and we have been in contact with since we were born. With that, it's almost like nurture versus nature. Some innate responses you have, but a lot of things that we do on a daily basis are taught, not just by what people say to us, but what we watch others do and what we feel is normal for us. I do feel like with the social bias and stereotyping others based on their nationality or what they may look like, many people do feel that innate authority, and if they're in a position of authority, if they cannot differentiate between their personal feelings and upholding the law, then those social biases and stereotypes will come out.
Now that we have addressed the problem and what police brutality is, I will have a response from Randolph Towns speaking on ways that it can be prevented and basically just what's the issue.
It can be helped to decrease the police brutality that we have. First of all, is just kind of having a few sessions of the police having to go through like emotional coaching and being able to deal with stressful situations. But I believe that most brutality will come to well, most men, you know, as far as like getting angry. We kind of just go off of anger or however we may feel. And I think they need to go through like a training process of being able to handle certain situations and, you know, ways to do it without involving weapons.